and welcome to your English news broadcast live on ERi-TV. It's exactly 10:30 p.m. on Eritra's local time from our headquarters at Asmara with your domestic and international news in brief. I'm Zahra Badouri, but first we'll begin with your major headlines for this broadcast. Northern Red Sea region, 25 schools constructed. Activity assessment meeting in Ansaba region and Asmara School of Music graduates 36 students. On your international, South African president says riot over Zuma jailed pre-plan Cyril Ramaphosa. President Biden says social media is killing people with COVID-19 misinformation and more, according to yesterday's report. Welcome to your domestic in brief. At a 6-month activity assessment meeting conducted in Massawa on 16th July, it was stated that 25 elementary schools have been built in the region in the last 6 months. At the meeting, activity reports on various developmental, infrastructural, social services were presented and discussed. According to reports presented, it was indicated that as part of the effort being exerted to ensure potable water supply to remote areas, Galalo and Irafaile potable water supply projects have been complete. Researches on the construction of underground and surface dams in Qarura and Adobaha subzones have been finalized, and that construction will be initiated in the near future. In a bid to enrich underground water and thereby increase agricultural production and productivity, it was assessed that effective work has been conducted in the construction and renovation of terraces, embankment, and as well as water diversion schemes. The participants on their part conducted extensive discussion on the reports presented and adopted resolutions and recommendations. Speaking at the conclusion of the 6-month activity assessment meeting, the governor of the Northern Red Sea region, Mrs. Asmaret Abraha, called for integrated effort in realizing regional as well as national developmental programs. The Ansaba Region Administration conducted activity assessment meeting on 16th and 13th July with limited representation of heads of department and subzonal administrations. According to reports presented at the meeting, in the past 1 year and a half, new health facilities have been put in place in Karan City, in Kartsat, Halhal subzone, and in Adibara, Elaborate subzone. Regarding agricultural development in the region, indicating that in 2020, improved crop seeds were distributed to exemplary farmers in Aditakalezan subzone, and that farmers have collected a bounty harvest. The participants of the meeting conducted extensive discussion on the reports presented and adopted various recommendations, including for reinforced effort to develop a teaching and learning process, strong follow-up on the safety of roads, finding solution for the low female student school participation in junior and high school, as well as to ensure the participation of the public in the development programs. Calling for integrated effort in the implementation of the charted out development programs, Mr. Abdullah Musa, governor of the region, expressed readiness of the regional administration to play due part in all environs. Asmara School of Music has today, 18th July, graduated 36 students, including 5 females, who have been attending musical classes for their third year as your final domestic. Speaking at the graduation ceremony, Mr. Elias Walde Gabriel, director of the school, indicated that in line with the guidelines issued to fight the combat of spread of COVID-19 pandemic, the students, alongside their academic education, were provided with theoretical and practical training in music theory, musical instrument and musical arrangement, sound appreciation and musical note writing, as well as musical instruments and handling them. Mr. Maasho Gabratin Sae, head of the Technical and Vocational Education Quality Control Unit at the Ministry of Education, on his part expressed the unit's readiness in alleviating the school's shortcomings. Representative of the graduation, on his part, commanding the opportunity they were provided, expressed readiness to play due part in the development of music in the country. Being administered under the Technical and Vocational Educational branch of the Ministry of Education since 2018, Asmara School of Music has graduated students at a certificate and diploma levels since 1994. Your global news after this short break. Do stay with us for more. Welcome back. South African President Cyril Ramaphosa has said the violence that has rocked the country was pre-planned, describing it as an assault on democracy. The president also said that the riot were an attempt to hijack South African democracy. He told supporters that instigators had been identified and more than 2,500 people had been arrested in connection with the unrest. The death toll has risen to 212, up to almost 100 since Thursday, the government reported. Police officers have been protecting deliveries of food to supermarkets after days of widespread looting led to the shortages. In a 30-minute televised address later on Friday, Mr. Ramaphosa said that there was no shortage of food or supplies and urged people against panic buying. Protests began last week after Zuma handed himself into police in serving a 15-month sentence for contempt of court. Zuma's supporters reacted furiously to his imprisonment, blockading major roads and calling a shutdown to demand his release. The protests descended into riots on a scale of rarely seen in South Africa. Businesses in every sector were looted, burned, and patrol bombs in cities and towns across KwaZulu-Natal, as well as Gauteng, which surrounded the country's biggest city in Johannesburg. Misinformation about the virus and vaccine has spread on platforms including Facebook and Twitter. President Joe Biden has said the social media companies are killing people by failing to police misinformation and on the platform of COVID-19 vaccinations. Biden's comment came a day after U.S. Surgeon General Vivek Murthy declared misinformation about the vaccine a threat to the public health. Speaking on Thursday, Murthy said misinformation on COVID-19 deemed an infodemic by the World Health Organization was deadly. Facebook spokesperson Danny Lever responded that they will not be distracted by accusations which aren't supported by facts. Twitter also posted on its platform that as the COVID-19 pandemic evolves around the world, they will continue to do their part to alleviate authoritative health informations. Given the role the internet plays in spreading health misinformation, Murthy said technology companies and social media platforms must make meaningful changes to their products and software to reduce the spread of false information while increasing access to authoritative, fact-based sources. On your final report, rescue crews have been racing to find survivors of flood that have awakened havoc across Western Europe, killing more than 150 people. Hundreds are still missing after record rainfall triggered severe floods in Germany and Belgium. Heavy rains also hit Switzerland, Luxembourg, and Netherlands, where Prime Minister Mark Rutte has declared a national disaster in one southern province, where European leaders have blamed the extreme weather on climate change. In Germany, where the death toll stands at over 100, President Frank-Walter Steinmeier said he was stunned by the devastating health of the visit to flood-hit regions. Phone networks are down, roads are barely damaged, and more than 100,000 homes are without power. The states of North Rhine-Westphalia, Rhineland, Palatinate, and Saarland have been the worst affected by rainfall. In Rhineland, Palestine's district of Arweiler, officers had said that 1,300 people were missing on Friday, but added that the figure was, in quotation, decreasing every hour. Scientists have been predicting for years that summer rainfall and heat waves would become more intense due to human-induced climate change, saying governments must both cut the carbon dioxide emission that are fueling extreme events and preparing for more extreme weathers thereof. Dear viewers, that is all for now with your domestic and international news. But before we end, these are your major headlines in review. Northern Red Sea region, 25 schools constructed. Activity assessment meeting in Ansava region and Asmara School of Music graduates 36 students. On your international, South African president says riot over Zuma's jailing pre-planned in reports for Cyril Ramaphosa. President Biden says social media is killing people over COVID-19 misinformation and rescue race to find survivors. That is all for now. Enjoy the rest of our programs, but until we are back with some more news, that is all for now. Thanks for watching.